Chosen one. Can you feel it? Some days pass like any other, but there are days heaven itself sets apart to change everything. And this Friday, September 13th, is one of those days. What looked like repetition will turn into renewal. What felt like an ending will be revealed as a beginning. Heaven is not only shifting your path, it is rewriting your destiny before your very eyes. Perhaps you've already felt it. An unexplainable restlessness in your heart, dreams that carry hidden messages, repeated signs that follow you everywhere, a pressure in your spirit you can't ignore. These are not accidents. They are warnings, whispers of what is coming. This Friday will mark the day your life is divided into before and after. And I ask you, will you live it as if it were ordinary, or will you step into it knowing that heaven is rewriting your destiny? Chosen one, there are days in life that pass unnoticed, days that blend into the rhythm of time. But there are also days that heaven itself has written in advance, days so charged with divine weight that nothing remains the same after them. Friday, September 13th, is one of those days. This is not just another mark on a calendar, not just a date to be remembered by the world. It is a turning point, a spiritual threshold. On this day, heaven is not simply arranging small details in your life. It is rewriting entire chapters of your destiny. Where you saw an ending, heaven reveals a beginning. Where you thought the story had run out of space, God is taking the pen back into his hands to write a continuation you never imagined. From the beginning, there was a purpose designed for you. Yet along the way, disappointments, detours, wounds, and even spiritual opposition attempted to distort that purpose. It's as if your story had been marked with lines that didn't belong to it, edits made by pain, fear, or the choices of others. But now comes the moment when the author intervenes, erasing what was twisted, redeeming what was broken, and restoring the original script. This is what it means when heaven rewrites destiny. And this rewriting does not happen only in the visible. The most profound shift begins inside of you. Heaven first changes the way you see yourself, the way you interpret your story, the way you perceive your identity. Before paths are reordered outwardly, faith and vision are sharpened inwardly. Because if your heart still sees only loss, you won't have the courage to step into gain. If your mind remains trapped in the past, you won't recognize the doors opening in front of you. That is why September 13th is not just about events, it is about revelation. You may already have sensed this process. In recent days, perhaps you've felt restlessness in your spirit or dreams so vivid they seem to carry codes of meaning. Perhaps you've noticed certain coincidences that repeat themselves, whispers of confirmation in conversations, songs, or numbers. These are not random events. They are heaven's way of saying, pay attention. The rewriting has already begun. Understand this. When God rewrites a destiny, he does not erase your story as if it never happened. Instead, he redeems it. The pain you endured, the silence you survived, the tears you thought were wasted, all of them are transformed into testimony. The scars are not removed. They are transfigured into proof of survival, evidence of grace. What once screamed failure will now echo victory. What once looked like wasted years will reveal themselves as preparation for this very moment. For this Friday, heaven is declaring that you are not forgotten, not abandoned, not lost in the margins. Your life is being pulled back into alignment with the story that was always intended for you. Every prayer that felt unanswered, every step that seemed to lead nowhere, every night when silence weighed heavy, all of these were chapters in preparation for this new one. Chosen one, do not treat September 13th as ordinary. It is not just another Friday. It is a memorial in time, a day when heaven takes the book of your life and turns the page. The past will no longer define you. The distortions will no longer control you. The narrative belongs once again to the author of life. And he has declared, I will rewrite what was broken. I will restore what was stolen. I will realign you with the destiny I spoke over you from the very beginning. And I ask you, will you step into this day with faith, believing that your destiny is being rewritten before your eyes? Or will you dismiss it as coincidence, living as though nothing has changed? Because one truth is undeniable. Friday, September the 13th, will not be just another day. It will be the day heaven rewrites destinies. What it means to have destiny reordered. Chosen one, when we speak of destiny being reordered, we are not talking about a small adjustment or a slight shift of direction. We are speaking of heaven, intervening at the deepest level of your life's story, realigning you with what was written about you before you were ever born. From the very beginning, God inscribed a path of purpose over your life. He declared identity, calling, and promise. But along the way, life introduced distortions. Pain carved detours. Choices, yours and others, created roadblocks. Spiritual resistance attempted to push you off course. And so, for seasons, you may have felt like you were wandering, living far below what you knew was possible, or questioning if the promise still existed at all. To have your destiny reordered means that heaven steps into the middle of the mess and pulls everything back into alignment. It is not erasing your past, it is redeeming it. Every broken place becomes a stepping stone. Every detour becomes a testimony. Every tear becomes a seed of harvest. Nothing is wasted when God reorders destiny. This reordering begins within you. Heaven cannot place you on a new path while your heart clings to the old one. That is why the Spirit confronts the lies you once believed. You are not enough. You are forgotten. You are too late. Those false identities must fall. A reordered destiny means your true identity is restored. You no longer live from labels placed on you by pain or people. You live from the truth spoken over you by heaven. Reordering also means healing. You cannot walk in a new story while carrying wounds that bleed into every chapter. That is why the Spirit is touching hidden places in your soul, places you buried, memories you avoided, emotions you pretended didn't exist. He is not doing this to break you, but to free you. A reordered destiny is impossible without healed foundations. But destiny reordering is not only internal, it is external as well. Relationships shift. Some people who once walked with you will fall away because they cannot walk into this next chapter. New connections will appear, people you've never met before, but who carry keys to unlock doors you could not open alone. Opportunities will emerge, not as coincidence, but as divine appointment. The scenery of your life changes because the script itself has been rewritten. And destiny reordering is also about purpose. For too long, you may have settled for surviving when you were called to build. You may have accepted roles and labels that were never yours to carry. But now, heaven is pulling you back into the center of your assignment. The passion you thought had died will awaken again. The dream you buried will breathe again. The sense of calling you tried to silence will roar louder than ever. Do not be surprised if this reordering feels disruptive. Sometimes heaven closes doors you wanted to walk through, removes people you wanted to hold on to, or ends chapters you thought would continue. This is not punishment. It is alignment. God is not removing what you need. He is removing what would keep you from stepping into who you truly are. Chosen one, to have your destiny reordered means you are no longer walking in confusion, but in clarity. No longer wandering in circles, but stepping onto the straight path heaven prepared for you. No longer bound by the false stories life wrote over you, but living inside the original script authored by God. And I ask you, will you allow Him to reorder your destiny, even if it means letting go of what feels familiar? Will you trust that every ending is making space for the new beginning you prayed for? Because one thing is certain, on Friday, September the 13th, heaven is not only opening doors, it is rewriting the map, it is restoring the storyline, it is reordering destiny. Chosen one, before heaven fully manifests a transformation, it always sends signs. God does not rewrite destinies in silence. He prepares His children through whispers, through shifts, through undeniable confirmations that something bigger is already unfolding. These signs are the language of the Spirit, and only those who are awake will recognize them. Some of the first signs appear in your body. Have you noticed sudden waves of fatigue, moments where you feel unusually heavy for no clear reason, or perhaps bursts of restlessness, waking in the night with your heart racing, unable to explain why? Your body is not betraying you. It is responding to spiritual reality. When heaven moves, the physical realm trembles. Flesh reacts to what the spirit already knows. Change is inevitable. Then there are the signs in your emotions. You might feel inexplicable tears, a surge of joy without cause, or even waves of nostalgia for something you cannot define. These emotions are not random. They are your soul's way of echoing what is happening in the unseen. Deep down, you already know. Something is about to shift. Dreams are another stage for signs. In this season, many chosen ones are reporting vivid dreams, repeating images, or encounters that feel more real than waking life. Symbols, numbers, and even forgotten faces may return to you while you sleep. Do not dismiss them. These are not just fragments of your imagination, they are divine codes. Heaven often bypasses the noise of your conscious mind to speak directly to your spirit in dreams. External confirmations will also appear, words from strangers that strike you as answers to private prayers. A song that seems to play at the perfect moment, echoing the very thoughts of your heart. Numbers repeating themselves on clocks, receipts, or signs. Even nature testifies. The stillness of the night feels heavier, the light of the day sharper. Creation itself aligns with the movement of the Creator, and sometimes the signs are disruptive. A door you thought was secure suddenly closes. A relationship ends unexpectedly. A plan you carefully built unravels overnight. At first, it may feel like loss, but in reality, these disruptions are divine removals. Heaven is clearing away what cannot survive in the new chapter. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Clarity is another powerful sign. Where confusion once ruled, suddenly you see clearly. Old questions find answers. Long-standing problems suddenly make sense. It's as if a veil is being lifted from your mind. This clarity is heaven's way of saying, the new is not just coming, it's already here. But here is the danger. Many chosen ones ignore the signs. They rationalize the tears, dismiss the dreams, explain away the coincidences. They ask God for proof, and when He provides it, they call it chance. Do not fall into that trap. Sensitivity is part of your calling. The signs are not meaningless. They are messages. Chosen one. Write them down. Guard them. Pay attention to the rhythm of your days, to the whispers in your nights. These signals are not preparing you for a possibility. They are confirming a certainty. The change is inevitable. The script of your life has already shifted in the heavenly realm. And now the signs are bleeding into your reality. And I ask you, will you treat these signs as accidents? Or will you honor them as proof that heaven has already moved? Will you ignore the whisper, waiting for thunder? Or will you recognize that the whisper itself is the voice of God guiding you? Because one thing is undeniable. The signs are here. They are telling you what your spirit already knows. Friday, September 13th, is not ordinary. It is the day heaven confirms the change that cannot be stopped. Chosen one. When heaven speaks of rewriting destinies, it is easy to imagine only external breakthroughs, open doors, restored opportunities, new paths unfolding. But the deepest miracle of this season is not what happens around you, but what happens within you. External change without internal transformation will never last. That is why heaven begins by reshaping your inner world before you step into the fullness of the new. The inner transformation of the chosen is first about identity. For too long, you have carried labels placed on you by pain, by people, by circumstances. Words like unworthy, forgotten, weak, incapable became echoes in your mind. But heaven is tearing off those false names and revealing who you truly are. Chosen, beloved, strengthened, called. The new life cannot be built on old lies. This Friday marks the restoration of your true identity, the unveiling of the person God always knew you to be. This transformation also touches the heart. The wounds you buried, the disappointments you tried to ignore, the fears that shaped your choices, all of them are being exposed, not to harm you, but to heal you. Tears may surface, memories may return, emotions may intensify, but this is not regression. It is cleansing. The Spirit is pulling out what has been poisoning your soul so that you can walk free into the destiny being rewritten. Healing is the foundation of transformation. The mind is another battlefield where change takes root. Old thought patterns must be dismantled. Where once you rehearsed fear, now you will cultivate faith. Where once you obsessed over scarcity, now you will think in alignment with abundance. The mind you carry into this new season cannot be the same one that kept you bound in the last. That is why clarity has been increasing, why new ideas are surfacing, why confusion is dissolving. Heaven is rewiring your perspective so that you can sustain the new chapter. Emotions also undergo transformation. Anxiety gives way to peace, discouragement to courage, sorrow to joy. This is not shallow positivity, it is the fruit of alignment. When heaven rewrites destiny, it does not simply change the script of your life. It changes the soundtrack of your heart. You will find yourself feeling lighter, stronger, steadier, even in the middle of circumstances that used to shake you. This is evidence of the Spirit at work within you. Do not be surprised if you feel uncomfortable during this inner transformation. Growth often feels like stretching, and healing often feels like exposure. But what feels painful for a moment is preparing you for freedom for a lifetime. Heaven cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. It must first renew the vessel. That vessel is you. Chosen one, understand this clearly. The greatest miracle of September the 13th will not be what changes around you, but what awakens within you. The confidence rising in your spirit, the courage sparking in your decisions, the peace anchoring your soul. These are the truest signs that destiny has been rewritten. And I ask you, will you allow heaven to finish this work in you, even if it means facing uncomfortable truths? Will you permit the Spirit to dig deep, to heal what you tried to hide, to strengthen what you thought was broken forever? Because one thing is certain, the chosen are not simply given a new path, they are given a new heart to walk it. And this Friday, the inner transformation you've been waiting for will be undeniable. How to embrace the new path. Chosen one, when heaven rewrites your destiny, the story does not end with revelation. It begins with responsibility. Many pray for breakthrough, and when it comes, they hesitate. They treat the new as if it were optional, or as if it could be carried alongside the old. But the new path heaven is opening before you demands full embrace. This Friday will mark a turning point, but whether you walk it out fully depends on how you step into it. The first key to embracing the new path is faith in action. Faith is not just believing silently in your heart. It is expressed through choices, through words, through movement. Stop speaking as if you are still waiting. Stop living as if nothing has shifted. Declare with conviction, my destiny has been rewritten. I am already walking in the new. The more you align your words and actions with this truth, the stronger it becomes in your reality. The second key is letting go of the old. You cannot walk the new path dragging yesterday's chains, habits that drained you, environments that suffocated you, patterns that kept you small. They cannot come with you. The path heaven has opened is narrow, and excess baggage will not fit. Ask yourself honestly, what must I release to move forward? Because the new is not built on compromise with the past, but on complete surrender to what lies ahead. The third key is discipline in the spirit. Breakthrough is not sustained by excitement alone. It is sustained by intimacy. Prayer, worship, stillness, and discernment. These are not optional in the new chapter. They are lifelines. Heaven is giving you greater responsibility, and responsibility requires deeper roots. The stronger your private devotion, the greater your ability to walk confidently in the public unfolding of your destiny. The fourth key is courage to act quickly. Opportunities will present themselves suddenly. Doors will open that you have prayed for, but they may not remain open forever. The temptation will be to hesitate, to question if you are truly ready. But heaven's timing is perfect. If the door is in front of you, it means you are prepared, even if you don't feel like it. Courage does not mean absence of fear. It means moving anyway. The fifth key is alignment with purpose. The new path is not just about comfort or blessing. It is about assignment. Ask yourself, what is heaven entrusting to me in this season? Who am I meant to impact? What legacy am I building? When you see the new path as purpose, not just provision, you will walk it with a seriousness that multiplies its fruit. The sixth key is guarding your environment. Atmosphere shapes destiny. The voices you listen to, the places you spend time in, the energies you allow near you, they either accelerate or suffocate the new path. Surround yourself with those who confirm your calling, not those who undermine it. Create space where peace and presence can dwell. The new cannot grow in polluted ground. Finally, the seventh key is humility. Never forget that this path is not earned by your strength, but gifted by grace. Pride blinds, but humility keeps you open to guidance. Each step you take should carry the awareness, I am here because heaven aligned this moment. That humility will keep you sensitive to further instructions, ensuring you don't just start the journey, but complete it. Chosen one. Embracing the new path is not passive, it is active. It is choosing daily to walk as someone transformed, refusing to reduce the extraordinary to the ordinary. And I ask you, will you hesitate, clinging to what once was, or will you step boldly into the new, knowing that heaven itself has gone before you? Will you downplay what is happening, or will you honor it as sacred? Because one truth stands, the path is already open. All that remains is your choice to embrace it fully. What must be left behind? Chosen one, when heaven rewrites destiny, it is not just about what begins, it is also about what ends. To step fully into the new, you must release what cannot survive in it. The path ahead is too narrow to carry the weight of yesterday's chains. Some things, some habits, even some relationships must be left behind if you are to live in the fullness of what heaven is opening this Friday. The first burden that must be left behind is fear. For too long, fear has paralyzed you, whispering lies that you are not ready, not worthy, not strong enough. Fear has caused hesitation at open doors, silence when you should have spoken, retreat when you should have advanced. Fear cannot cross this threshold. This Friday, heaven is clothing you with courage. To continue carrying fear would be to dishonor the gift of boldness heaven is releasing. The second is toxic relationships. Some people were part of your process, but they cannot be part of your promise. They may love you, but they do not align with the call on your life. Others drain your energy, belittle your faith, or pull you back into cycles you have already outgrown. If you drag them into this new season, they will slow your steps and cloud your clarity. Love them, bless them, but let them go. The third is resentment and unforgiveness. Old wounds, carried like armor, may have felt like protection, but they are actually poison. Unforgiveness keeps you tied to moments you are meant to outgrow. Destiny rewritten requires freedom, and freedom is impossible without forgiveness. You cannot step into tomorrow if your heart is still chained to yesterday. Another thing that must be left behind is the illusion of control. You have tried to plan, to predict, to force outcomes, but this new season is not one you can engineer with logic. It is one you must surrender to. Control is heavy. It keeps you clinging to what is safe instead of reaching for what is sacred. Release it. Let heaven lead. You must also abandon the mindset of scarcity. In the past, you survived by thinking small, by settling for less, by believing that just enough was all you could hope for. But heaven is not rewriting your destiny to leave you in limitation. This is a season of expansion. Scarcity must die so that abundance can live. Distractions must also go. Endless noise, wasted hours, cycles of indulgence that numb your spirit. They cannot cross the threshold. The new path requires focus. Heaven is speaking clearly, but if you fill your mind with static, you will miss the signal. Guard your attention. Protect your atmosphere. And perhaps, most importantly, you must leave behind the belief that nothing has changed. This is the greatest lie the enemy will use, to convince you that despite the signs, despite the shift, despite the rewriting, you are still the same. If you believe that, you will live beneath your new identity while standing in the middle of answered prayer. Refuse to accept that lie. Declare daily, everything has changed. I am not who I was. My destiny is new, chosen one. I know letting go is not easy. It feels like loss. But what you release is not loss. It is liberation. Heaven is not taking what you need. It is removing what will weigh you down. The lighter you walk into this season, the further you will go. And I ask you, will you try to drag yesterday into tomorrow, or will you walk freely into the new? Will you cling to what is dying, or will you release it to embrace what is alive? Because one thing is certain, what must be left behind cannot enter this Friday with you. And the moment you lay it down, you will feel the freedom of destiny rewritten. Chosen one, there are ordinary days, there are memorable days, and then there are days that divide your life into before and after. Friday, September 13th, is one of those days. It will not simply pass through time. It will mark you. It will redefine you. It will be remembered as the Friday that changed everything. This is not poetic language. It is prophetic reality. What heaven is doing is not subtle. It is not small. It is a rewriting of destiny, a turning of the page, a shift so deep that the old you will not be able to recognize the new chapter. You will look back at this day as the moment when silence broke, when prayers became reality, when the author of your life took his pen and wrote a new future in bold letters. September 13th will not be remembered for endings, but for beginnings. Yes, some doors will close, some relationships will fade, some habits will die. But what will remain in your heart is not grief. It is relief. You will understand that what left was never meant to hold your future. What ended was only clearing space. And what began will burn so brightly that you will never again wish for what was lost. This Friday is not simply an answer to prayer, it is a testimony. It is heaven's way of proving that you were never forgotten, never overlooked, never abandoned. Every tear you shed, every silent night, every sigh that no one else noticed, all of it was seen, all of it was stored, all of it was woven into this moment. The Friday that is coming is not random. It is reward. And yet, do not mistake this as the conclusion of your journey. This Friday is not the finish line. It is the launch pad. The story is not ending. It is beginning again, stronger, clearer, and freer than before. You are stepping into a new cycle, one that will outshine the last, one that will bear fruit far beyond what you imagined. This day will also unite the chosen. All around the world, others like you will feel the same stirrings, the same confirmations, the same undeniable shift. Each testimony will echo the others. On that day, something changed. Together, your stories will form a chorus too loud to be denied. Heaven will have written not just individual destinies, but a collective one. And in the months ahead, when doubt whispers to you, when the enemy tries to convince you that nothing has really changed, you will return to this moment. You will remember how you felt it, how you saw it, how you knew it. You will anchor your faith in the memory of this Friday. And you will say with certainty, that was the day heaven rewrote my destiny. That was the day everything shifted. That was the Friday that changed everything. Chosen one, I ask you now, will you honor this day as sacred, or will you treat it as common? Will you walk forward as one transformed, or shrink back as if nothing has shifted? Because the one thing is unshakable, Friday, September the 13th will not just change your schedule. It will change your story. It will not just shift your path. It will rewrite your destiny. It will not just be a day on the calendar. It will be the Friday that changed everything.